Very good morning to all. This session is focused on cloud deployment using Render platform. So in this session, we are going to learn how to deploy front-end and backend using Render as a platform to deploy our application on the cloud. Here I will list out the objective of the sessions. So first we will understand the process of provisioning and configuring a Postgres SQL database in the cloud environment. Understand the process of configuring Postgres SQL in cloud environment. Next, deploy the backend applications, task services, core services, and API gateway microservice on Render. That is our second objective. Deploy the task service, core service, and API gateway on Render. Next, after deployment of all three backend services, we are going to validate the REST API endpoints in the production URL. So the next objective is validating REST APIs of backend service So validating REST APIs after deployment using production URLs. And the fourth objective, deploy React front-end application on Render. So these are the four objectives we are going to learn in this session. After successful deployment of front-end and back-end services, we are going to validate the end-to-end functionality of micro-task hub application through publicly accessible URLs. Then we are going to test the complete deployment workflow from database to backend services and from backend services to front-end application. Finally, we are going to understand the best practices for secure, scalable, and production-ready deployment of full-stack distributed application using Render as a platform. So let me start by creating account in Render. So you can go to your browser and visit the website render.com. Here there is a provision on the right hand side top corner to sign in. If not having an account, we can proceed by click on the button Get Started. Then we can create account by using any one of the option, either GitHub account authentication or Google account authentication. Let me proceed with Google account authentication, or we can providing an email ID and password and we can create it. So either we can use Google authentication or GitHub authentication, or we can create account by entering the details of email ID and password. So let me create a new account. Then click on the button Create Account. So then you can see this window. There, click on the button Resend Verification Email. Then go to your Gmail inbox. Let me try using Gmail authentication because I'm not getting the mail to. Yes, I got it. So I received a mail. It takes some time to send a mail to your Gmail account. Once you received a mail, you can click on the link, activate your render account, verify your email ID. So your account will be created on the render platform. Once you activated the account creation process, then you can provide some details to create new workspace on the render platform. So these are the optional. You just directly click on the next button. So let me choose the workspaces personal project. Then how many developers will be working together? Just me. Then click on next. So here just click on next. It will go to the dashboard of your render. Once you entered into the dashboard, then in top left corner, there is a icon to check your dashboard. Click on it. It by default, it creates one project for us. So then click on your workspace. So if you log in first time, this is the page you will get. There is a skip button on the right hand side. You just click on the skip button. It go to the dashboard where you can create the services to deploy your backend project as well as your front end project. So here I'm going to create a new service. So there is an option here. If you click on this, you can see the option Postgres. So first, as per the session objective, the first we are going to understand the process of configuring Postgres SQL in the cloud environment using uh, render as a platform. So if your application is deployed on the cloud, the database also must be present in the cloud. So MongoDB already we are using the MongoDB Atlas, so database is already available on the cloud, but Postgres is running in local for the project MicroTask Hub. Now I'm going to configure the Postgres SQL for the database. So here you can So in the top right corner, there is a button new. So click on the button new and choose the service Postgres. In this page, you can provide a service name. Just I entered the service name as Postgres DB, because the keyword Postgres is a keyword. If you give only Postgres, it may throw the error. So you can give service name as Postgres DB. Then database is optional. Let me provide the database as MTH because in local Postgres SQL, we are using the database name as MTH for the project MicroTask Hub. So I entered the database name as MTH. Username. So let me give the username as Postgres underscore user. Then region, there is no option for select India. So you can proceed with US West. Then Postgres SQL version 18 is the highest version. Choose highest version 18. Then go to the plan option. Under instance type, you can select free version. Then go to end. There is a button create database. If you click on create database, it takes some time to create a new database service for Postgres SQL. So once the service is created, we can see the page there. There is information. Your database will expire on July 15th. That means since we selected the free subscription, the database will be active for 1 month from today. So that's why the expiry time it shows July 15th, 2026. So and status showing as creating. So we have to wait some time. Once the status changed as available, then we can use the cloud database service with our PG admin. So meanwhile, we can open PG admin. Let it be open. Then just we explore the page under connections section. It provides a host name if you connect with Postgres SQL in local, and port number of Postgres SQL 5432. This is the default port number of Postgres SQL. As I entered database name MTH, the database MTH is not available. That's why it generates a database by default assigning some value. So we can use this as a database name, and the username as I given while configuring. Postgres underscore user is the username to establish the connection with Postgres. Then password will be generated automatically. We can view the password by click on the eye icon. So it displays the generated password, and we can get internal database URL as well as external database URL. So we will use external database URL to configure Spring Boot application to connect with this online Postgres SQL. So once the PG admin is opens, then we can connect with the cloud database. So if you try to explore the server, I already created one more service. Let me delete it. So it is the default database which is running on the local. If we provide a password, it will connect with the local Postgres SQL service. So I'm not connecting with local Postgres. So right click on the server. We can register a new server which is configured with render platform. So right click on the server. You can get an option register. Then choose servers. You will get a pop-up. Enter name of the server. Let me enter the name as render underscore Postgres. So I just named the service server as render underscore Postgres SQL. Then move to the second tab, connection. Here you need to provide the host name. So we can take the connection details from the page where we deployed Postgres SQL under connections. So you should not use the host name which is displayed here. This is for local configuration. If we are accessing from outside, we need to take the database URL, external database URL. There is a copy option here. Click on the button to copy, then open a notepad, paste the external database URL to establish connection with Postgres. From here, we can take the username. This is the username to establish connection with Postgres, and this is the password. And from here to here will be the host name, and this is the database name. So go to PG admin. In the place of host name, we can copy hostname from the external database URL next to the @ symbol. You can start copying up to the slash. So copy the exact hostname from the external database URL and paste it in the place of hostname. There is no change in the port number. By default, it is 5432. And maintain database name we need to provide. That is also available in the URL. You just copy the database name and paste it in the place of maintenance database. Then we need to provide the password that is also available. This is username. Next to the username, there is a symbol colon. So this is the database password. We can copy next to the colon up to @ symbol. So copy the database password and paste it here. Then click on save button. Yeah, we need to provide the database username. I forgot to change the database username. The database username is Postgres_URL. So first I configured a Postgres SQL in render that is running under my project. If I click on my project, I can see the service Postgres database. The status changed as available. If you want to get the connection details, you can click on the service, scroll and go to the title connection. Under connections, you can find external database URL. So near to that, there is a copy button, copy and open a notepad, paste it. From the external database URL, we can get all the details to establish connection with the Postgres SQL, which is running on render platform. So this is username and this is the password and host name and database name. So after opening pgadmin, just right click on the server. You can get an option register, then choose server, enter name of the server as render. Naming is your choice. I just entered the name as render Postgres SQL. Then after click on the second tab connections, you can copy and paste the host name from the external database URL. Let me copy the host name and paste it here. Then port number, there is no change in the port number. That is 5432 is the default port number for MySQL. And a database name we can take from the external database URL and paste it here. And username, while configuring, I given the username as Postgres_user. So we need to provide the username and password. Then click on save button. Now it establishes connection with cloud Postgres and it is connected. Now if you expand this, you can see the available databases and the database which we created is mth_9j50, which is displayed in the connection string. So open the database mth, under schemas, go to tables. As of now, there is no table in the cloud database. So now I'm going to open the core services in in Spring Tools. We can update application.properties to connect with the online database. So in the video description, I given the URL for Git. So you can copy that URL. So the Git repository URL is given in the description. You can copy that URL and use it. So go to any one of your local disk. Let me choose a D drive as my local disk to clone the repository. So here I'm going to create a new folder I just name the folder as mth underscore repo. Now I'm going to use this location as my workspace. Once entered into the location, click on the address bar and execute the command cmd to open a command prompt. Once command prompt is opens, you can clone the repository by using the command git clone followed by the repository URL. Once the repository is cloned, we can close the command prompt. Now it creates a folder inside my workspace mth underscore repo. So enter into the folder frontend underscore repo. Choose the latest version 8.0. It have both frontend and backend applications, which is ready to deployment on the cloud. So let me open one by one. So inside backend, there are three projects. One is core service, which is created using Spring Boot, and gateway, which is created using Python Fast API, and task services created using Node and Express.js. So let me open core services in Spring Tools. So open Spring Tools. Now we need to choose the workspace location. Click on browse button. I created workspace in my local disk D mth underscore repo inside frontend underscore repo version 8.0 backend. So click on select folder, then launch Spring Tools. Once Spring Tools ID is opens, import the project core services. So go to file menu and use the option import, then choose Maven, existing Maven project. Click on the browse button and make sure it is locating a proper backend workspace. Version 8.0 inside backend, there is a project called core services. So select the project core service and finish. It takes some time to complete the background progress. We have to wait until the project completely loads on the Spring Tools. So we can see the progress in bottom right corner. We have to wait until the project loads completely on the Spring Tools. Then we can start modifying to connect with the cloud database. Now all background progress are complete. Then we can explore the project on the package explorer. I just, because of Git configuration, it shows as a warning. So I'll just right click on the project name and go to the option team and disconnect. So now there is no issue with Git configuration. Then go to the location src main resources, open the file application.properties. Here we have a configuration to connect with the Postgres, which is running on local. Now we need to update this to establish connection with the cloud Postgres SQL. So we already copy pasted the external database URL for Postgres, which we configured in render. So from there we can take your host name. So copy the host name and update in the place of localhost. Just replace the localhost in the statement spring.datasource.url. So in the place of localhost, I just copy pasted the host name from external database URL of Postgres, which is deployed in render. And there is no change in the port number, but there is a change in the database. Now the database name is mth_9j50. So let me copy the database name and paste it in the connection URL. Then there is a change in the username. The username is Postgres_user. So I'm updating the username as well as password. So we can copy the password and paste it here. So I updated application.properties file to connect with Postgres, which is running on render. Then save and close the file application.properties and go to form.xml. We developed this project using Java version 25. For deploying in a render platform, we need to degrade the version from 25 to 21 because render will support up to Java version 21. So open form.xml and find out the statement java.version. It is in the line number 31. So it shows which version we use to build the project. So we are using Java 25 to build the project core service, but in render, it will support up to Java 21. So we need to degrade the version. So change version 25 to 21, save and close the file form.xml. Then right click on your project and use the option run as Maven clean. So if anything build using Java 25, it will be degrade to 21. So if you use the option by right click on your project name, run as Maven clean, in the console, you will see the message build success. That means your project is rebuilt for the version 21. Now it is ready to deploy it on the render. Then right click on the project, run as Spring Boot app. After updating application.properties and form.xml, you can start its deployment by right click on the project name and use the option run as Spring Boot. Once the execution is started, you can go to Postgres SQL where you connected with Postgres, which is running on render platform. Previously, there is no table. Now right click on the table and try to refresh. It creates all the required number of tables for the project core services. Then now, as of now, the tables are empty. So we can take seed from the repository. So use query tool, right click on tables and use the option query tool, or there is a icon on the toolbar. You can use the query tool. Once the query tool is opens, there is an option to open a file. So click on the icon to open a file. Go to your project repository, which we cloned. So go to the project location. It is in my local disk D mth_repo. Inside I have a project repository frontend underscore repo. Then version 8.0. There is a file Postgres SQL sheet. So select that. Click on open. It opens in the query tool. If you execute this seed file, it inserts 3 users into the users table, one admin, one manager, and one user. And also it inserts 3 roles into the roles table and 5 menu items into the menus table and mapping roles with the menus. So I just open the file and click on the execute script. Once the script is executed, we can see what is the content available in users file by executing the select query. So select the statement, select star from user, click on execute. It will bring data from the users table. It inserts 3 users. We can use one of the user for testing the front end. Then execute select query for the roles table. It has 3 roles, and execute select query for menus table, and execute select query for roles table. So now the table have minimum number of records for testing. Then we can open task services in VS Code. So open the project task services in VS Code. So then go to .env file. Here we added 3 environment variable. One is port, mentioning the port number 8002 for the port project task services. Now we are going to deploy this project on the render platform. The render server will allocate a port number for this particular application. So we can remove the environment variable from .env file port equal to 8002. It's not required once the project will go for production environment. So remove the environment variable port and go to main.js. Find out the statement where we are assigning value for the port number. Here we can use OR operator and assign port number 8002 to check output in the local environment to run the project in local. Once it is deployed on the render, automatically it allocates a port number that is taken by the statement process.env.port. So after updating main.js and go to package.json, inside scripts, there is a command start. There we used nodemon space main.js. The nodemon is used to execute the project in development environment. If we make any changes on your code, automatically the project will be restarted. Once it is going for the production environment, we need to change the command from nodemon to node. So this is the actual command to run the project in production environment. So change nodemon as node here. So there are 2 changes in task services. One is in .env, remove the environment variable port and go to main.js. You can use the port number by using OR operator to run the application in local. Then go to package.json. Inside scripts, we added a command start to start the Node.js project. There previously we used the command nodemon space main.js. Nodemon is help us to monitor the code changes. If we make any changes on the code, it will automatically restart. That's suitable for development environment. When the project is going for production environment, we need to run the project by using the command node. So make changes in package.json, replace nodemon with node, then save and close. Now the project is ready for deployment on cloud. So before deployment, I just run the project in local. So I just add a terminal, convert the terminal into command prompt mode, then start it execution by using the command npm start. Now the project is started in local. Then open the another project, gateway in VS Code. So open gateway in VS Code. And go to main.py. We need to allow permission to the any URL. So if we provide star here, it can accept request from any URL. If we provide a URL, it only accept the request only from that particular URL. After deployment, we will get a production URL to access our application online. So better we will proceed with the value allow underscore origin equal to star instead of providing a exact URL name. When the project is going for real-time use, that time we can restrict the request from other front ends. So we can provide the URL name here. So for best practice, we can use star here, then save and start its execution. Add a terminal, convert the terminal into command prompt mode, then run the file py space run.py. Either we can use python space run.py or py space run.py. So the execution is started in local. Then we need to go to front end and open front end project in VS Code. Add a terminal, convert the terminal into command prompt mode, then start its execution. Since it is recently cloned from the Git repository, we must install the dependencies by using the command npm install. Then we can start its execution by using the command npm run dev. Then try to open output on the browser. Now the online database table user have 3 records. We can use any one of the username and password to test with cloud Postgres SQL database. So let me use admin credential. This is the mail ID used as a username and password is 123. Then click on let's start. It will go to the dashboard. That means it's successfully connected with the Postgres which is running on render. That's why we can able to see all the menu items here, and user manager, it displays the user details which is available in the database table users. Then the task manager will list out all the tasks which is available in my MongoDB. MongoDB already in cloud, so no need to configure with render. So next we will start deploying one by one. Let me start from task services. So go to the project task services, create a Docker file here. So Docker script is required to deploy it on the cloud. You will learn in depth about Dockers in the upcoming semester. Just you know how to create a Docker script in the project. Just right click on the project explorer on the left side and create a new file, because the Docker file must be present in the project root directory, not inside a config controller model folders. So better you right click on the empty space and choose the option new file. Enter the file name as Docker file. We should not have a spelling mistake. The file name first letter must be starts with capital letter without any extension. If you provide a file name Docker file, you can see the changes on the icon. So if you see this icon, it's perfect. There is no issue with the Docker file creation. Once the Docker file is created, we can add a Docker script to deploy the Node.js project in render environment. So in the repository itself, I given a script file. In version 8.0, I given a notepad Docker script. Open the file. This is the script you need to use it to deploy the task service in render. So just copy the script and paste it inside the Docker file, which is added in task services project. The script is simple. First statement shows what type of node version used to build the project. So we are using node 24. Render will support node 24. So version number 24 is used to build the project. The second statement, it creates a folder app inside the render server, and then it try to copy the two JSON files which is started from package hyphen log.json and then package.json. That's why the statement given to copy the two files which is starts with the keyword package star.json. So it will copy from your repository to the Docker server, then install all the dependencies which is listed in package.json. So in package.json, here we can see what are the libraries we use to build the project. So this command will install all the required libraries from package.json in the render server. Then copy the content from uh, Git repository to render server. Once the process is done, it starts its execution by using the command npm start. So save this script and close. Go to your GitHub account. We need to create a repository for deployment. So once you entered into your GitHub dashboard, create a new repository. I just name the repository as task service, then create repository. Then configure the repository with the project task service. So return back to the task service which is running on VS Code. Stop its execution. Go to the console. Stop its execution by using Control C. Then give confirmation. And now we can add a Git repository. So start with Git init. Then you need to give the identification by using the command git config user dot name. You can find GitHub username from your GitHub dashboard. In top left corner, you can see the username. So let me copy and paste it here. And git config user dot email, and provide the email which is used to create GitHub account. So ppm.in@gmail.com. These two statements are used to provide your identity to access the Git repository from this terminal. Next, you can add a remote origin. You can take a command from the Git dashboard. This is the command you need to execute to add a remote origin for this repository. So let me copy and paste it in the console. Now the remote origin is added. Then create a branch, git branch -m main. So this statement used to create a main branch and make it as a default one. That's why -m. Once the main branch is created, we can add all the code to the repository by using the command git add space dot. Then commit the changes. So git commit -m. I just added a message version 1. Then we need to push permanently into the repository by using the command git push -u origin name of the branch. So main branch. So git push -u origin main. So once the process is completed, Then go to your repository, refresh. You can see your project here. And then go to render dashboard. Click on the left icon to go to the dashboard. Then click on my projects. Inside there is one service database which we created is running. Now I'm going to add one more web service. In the top right corner there is a button new. Click on new and choose web services. There are three options. One is Git provider, public Git repository, and then existing image. You can proceed with Git provider. That means first tap, then click on GitHub button. It opens a pop-up to authenticate your GitHub credential. If it is the first time, it will ask you to enter username and password. Once it is done, you will get this page. There you can choose the option only select repository. Then you will get a drop down button. Click on the drop down button and choose the repository where you deployed task services. Select the repository. It will be added in the list. Then click on the button install. So automatically the pop-up will close. Once the pop-up closed, you can see the repository URL here. So click on the repository URL. Then it will go to the page where we can give configuration. The name automatically taken based on the repository name. If you want, you can change. Otherwise, you can proceed with the same. And make sure it is under your project. Then language is Docker, branch is main. No need to change anything. Directly go to instance type and choose pre-version. Then go to the end, click on deploy web service. So it takes some time to build. You can see the status here. It shows building. Once it will be changed as live, we can test output of task service by using this public URL. So we can see the progress here. We have to wait until it built and so no need to worry about the error. This is due to the dependency installation. So it takes some time. So meanwhile, we will configure the Spring Boot application for deployment. So go to Spring Boot project, add a Docker file in the project root directory. So right click on the empty space of Package Explorer and use the option new. Then choose file to create a new file, or you right click on your project name and choose the option new. Then select file. It will ask you to enter the file name. So enter the file name as mentioned in the previous project, Docker file, without any extension. Then click on finish. Now the Docker file will be added. Stop its existing execution and add a script for the Docker file. You can take script which is already available in the repository. So this is the script you need to add it for the project core services. So copy the script and return back to Spring Boot and paste inside the Docker file. The script has two stages, one to build a var file and another one to deploy the var file on the render. So save changes on the Docker file, close, then create repository on your GitHub. So go to your GitHub account, create a new repository for the project core services, click on new. I just name the repository as core services, create it. Then go to Spring Boot project, right click on your project and use the option show in local terminal and choose terminal. Once the terminal is opens on your console, then you can add a Git repository here by using the command git init. No need to give identity commands again because we already given in another console. So directly we can go to add a remote origin. So copy the command and return back to the terminal and paste it. Once the origin is added, then create a branch by using git push all the code into repository. So use the command git add space dot and then git commit -m the message. I just given the message as v1. Then push permanently into the repository by using the command git push -u origin main. So once it is done, go to your repository, refresh. You can see your project content here. Then go to the project gateway, which is running on VS Code. Stop its execution. So, and go to the render dashboard. Before deploying gateway, we need a public URL of core services as well as task services. So first ensure these two services are deployed on the render. So go to render dashboard. Now it shows your service is live and also the status changed as live. So we can use this public URL, copy the public URL, open a new tab and paste it and enter. It displays the message started from task service project. So that means it's successfully deployed on the render and it is available online now. So we can copy the public URL of task services and go to the project gateway, open the file .env, replace the node URL with the public URL. So previously we executed the project in local environment. That's why we given localhost along with the port number where the task service is running. Now it is running online. So we can replace the URL of task service in the .env file of gateway project. Then save and go to render dashboard. Start deploying Spring Boot application. So from here, enter into the project. Two services are deployed. Now I'm going to deploy a third service, that is Spring Boot application. So click on new button and choose web services. As of now, it displays the repository for task service. Now I'm going to add a repository for core services. So recently I pushed the code that is available in my repository core services. So there is a button near to the search bar. Click on the button and choose your GitHub username. Then click on configure in GitHub. It will open a pop-up, scroll and go to the place repository access. Under only selected repository, click on the drop down button and choose the repository for core service. Now it will be added into the list. Now we given permission for two repositories. One is core service. Already we given permission for task service. Then click on save. Once the pop-up is closed, you can see core service repository also here. So click on the repository core services. Name automatically taken based on the repository name and the project is under my project only. So if not, you can click on the drop down and select your project name, my project, and directly go to the instance type and choose pre-version. Then click on deploy web service. So it takes some time to build and start its execution. We can see the console here. So meanwhile, we can copy the public URL of core services, that means Spring Boot application, and go to gateway project. Inside .env, replace the URL of Spring Boot application. So previously it has the localhost URL. Replace the localhost port number 8001 with the public URL for core services. Then save changes, close, and make sure in main.py you given the cross origin permission for any URL. So then we can create a repository. So go to your repository and create new repository. I just name the repository as gateway and create it. Then go to VS Code where the gateway project is opens. In the console, configure the repository by using git init. Then add a remote origin. Then create a branch. Then add all the project content by using the command git add space dot, then commit -m version 1 and push by using the command git push -u origin main. Then check your repository. So go to GitHub repository, refresh. Now we can see the content. I forgot to add a Docker file. So return back to the project. Right click on the empty space on Project Explorer. Use the option new file. Create a Docker file here. So name the file as Docker file without any extension, D in capital letter. That means first letter in capital letter. Once the Docker file is created, you can copy the script for gateway project and add it into the Docker file. So the script having the version Python 3.14, it informs the render server the project is built using Python 3.14 and it creates a project workspace inside the render server and installs all the libraries from requirement.txt. That's why we first copy the file requirement.txt and by using the command pip install -r requirement.txt to install all the required libraries for running this project and copy the content from Git repository to render server. Then the project execution is started by using this command. Then save. Again, push it into the repository because previously I forgot to create a Docker file. I pushed into the repository. So my repository is not having a Docker file now. That's why I'm going to push one more time. So go to the console, start from git add space dot, then git commit -m. I just name it as version, same name I given. Then git push -u origin main. Now verify the repository. Now my repository having a Docker file. So now it is ready for deployment. So go to the render dashboard. Still the deployment of core service is in progress. We have to wait until the status changed as live. Once the status changed as live, we can start deploying gateway project, then front end. So meanwhile, you can open the task service public URL, refresh. If it is be idle for a long time due to free subscription, the service will go to sleep state. If we go with paid subscription, the web service which we created on the render will be available 24/7 since we are using free. After some time, if there is no operation done, there is no request came to this particular web service, what will happen? It will go to the sleep mode to save the resource. So if you frequently refresh on the public URL of the deployed task service, it keep on live. So it's easy to test. Once it goes to sleep mode, we just send a request to this public URL. So automatically it came from sleep state to wake up state. It takes some time. Once it came to live, then we can test by using the front end. So better you just frequently refresh on the URL. And also check the core service deployment status changed as live. Now it is changed as live. We can copy the public URL of core service, open a new tab and paste it, enter. It displays the white label error because there is no front end on the Spring Boot application. That means it's successfully deployed on the render. It is available. Now we can open the Swagger page for this. So along with the base URL, you can add /swagger-ui/index.html. It opens a Swagger page for the core service project, which is running on render. Then we will focus on deploying a gateway project. We already pushed the content of gateway into the repository. So go to render dashboard, enter into my project, go to the new button, click on the new button and choose web services, add the repository for gateway project. So near to the search bar, there is a button, click on it and choose username, click on configure in GitHub, then go to the page and go to the option under repository access, only selected repository. There we can see the drop down, click on the drop down and choose the repository for gateway and then click on save. Now we can see the repository URL for gateway, click on it, name automatically taken, then under project, it is created under my project, then go to instance type, choose pre version, then click on deploy web service. It started building. It takes some time to build and go for live. So meanwhile, we will create a repository for front end. So go to GitHub dashboard, create a new repository for front end. So repository is created for front end and go to the project, go to the VS Code where front end is running. Just stop its execution. Then initialize the repository here, git init, add remote origin. So copy the command to add a remote origin of a repository and create a branch. Then add by using the command git add space dot, then commit. then push. Once it is done, go to the repository, refresh. Now the content of the project is available in the repository. No Docker file creation is required for front-end deployment. Then go to render dashboard, enter into the project, then click on the new button on top right corner. Now don't choose the option web service. You can deploy front-end using the option static site. So click on static site. Here the URL not yet listed. So click on the button credential, then choose your username, click on configure in GitHub and go to repository access. Under only selected repository, click on the drop down and select repository for frontend, then save. Then click on the repository link for frontend. So name taken based on the repository name. It is created under my project. So you can make sure that it is created under your project. Then branch is main, root directory, no change. Under build command, by default, it displays two commands. One is npm install and another one is npm run build. If it is not there, we need to feed input. So we need to provide these two commands under build command, npm install npm run build. So by default, automatically it will be there. If it, in case it is not there, we need to provide these two commands here. Then publish directory dist. So once we execute npm run build, automatically it creates a folder dist in the project structure. So the publish project content is available in this directory. So we need to provide the publish directory name as dist. Then after, go to the end, click on deploy static site. So only one input we need to provide, that is publish directory name dist. Remaining all automatically available on the configuration page. So it takes some time. Meanwhile, we will check gateway projects deployment. So the front end immediately starts and goes to live state. Its status changed as live. So copy the front end URL. So I forgot to make changes on the front end. Wait. So first we will test gateway project. So click on my projects, open gateway and copy its public URL, open a new tab and paste it and enter. So it displays the message started for gateway project. So task service, once refresh, task service is live and core service, go to the tab where core services opens, it is also live, and open the tab for gateway. It also displays the message started. We can open Swagger for the gateway by adding /docs along with its base URL. It opens a Swagger page for past API, which is deployed on render. So then all three backend services are running, and also the Postgres SQL we deployed on the render. Now it's time to connect with the front end. So go to front end application. Inside SRC, open the file live.js. Here we given the base URL to connect with the gateway project, which is running in local with port number 8000. So now the gateway is deployed on the render. So we need to copy the public URL of gateway. So this is the public URL of gateway. We can copy, or you can go to the dashboard of render, enter into your project, click on gateway, copy the public URL and go to the project front end, open live.js, replace the localhost URL with the public URL to establish connection with the gateway project. So I'm replacing the localhost 8000 with the public URL of gateway project. Then save changes. Go to the console and using the command git add space dot, then git commit -m version 2. If I given message, if I change, previously I given the message as v1, now I changed it as v2. If you provide a proper message while commit, the render will automatically start its redeployment. Let us show this because frontend is already deployed. It is running live on the render. Now I'm pushing the changes which I made in live.js. If it is pushed into the repository, then go to render dashboard. Since it is already configured, so no need to configure again. So just enter into front end. You can see the deployment is started automatically. So previous deployment for version 1. Now I make changes on live.js and push the content into the repository. So automatically the deployment is started in the render. In future, if you make any changes in any of your backend project, which is already deployed in the render, or if you push your code, updated code into the repository, automatically the deployment process is started on the render. So no need to configure again. So now it's changed into live. Copy the front end URL, open a new tab, paste and enter. You can see output here. So now you can use any one of the user which is available in your database. So my database having 3 users, admin, manager and user. Let me use admin credential to test my front end which is deployed on the render and its password. If I click on let's start, I will get a message not found because it's happened due to URL rewrite. So we need to add a rule in the render for redirection and rewriting the URL. So go to render where front end is deployed. Let me go to dashboard inside my project. This is the service where my front end is running. Open the service. In the left panel, you can find the option redirect or rewrites. So click on redirect or rewrites. You will get a button add rule. So click on add rule. In the place of source, enter /star. In the place of destination, enter /index.html. And in the action, you can set the name of the action as rewrite. If user provides username and password, then click on the let's start button. It try to navigate from login page to home page. If the rule is not yet added, we will get the error not found. After adding this rule, click on save changes, then go to the front end, refresh, it will go to home page. So let me log out again and log in by using the admin credential and password. If I click on let's start without any not found issue, it will go to the home page because we added a rewrite rule in render. So for front end, little bit different. While configuring, we need to choose static site, not web service. Under static site, once the configuration is done, don't forget to add a redirect or rewrite rule in the settings. So how can we add from dashboard, project, open the front end service? In left panel, you can find the option redirect or rewrites. There by default, it shows the button add rule. Click on the button add rule. Then in the place of source, enter the input /star. In the place of destination, /index.html. In the place of action, click on the drop down and set action name as rewrite. Then click on save changes. Then you can copy the public URL of your front end and paste it in the new tab on your browser. You can test by login with one of the credential which is available in your database. So in this session, we learned how to deploy front-end and back-end services into the cloud using Render as a platform. And also we learned how to configure PostgreSQL database into the Render platform. So MongoDB, there is no configuration is required. So because MongoDB is already available on the cloud. So, and also while deploying task service inside .env, don't forget to replace your MongoDB URL. This is the connection URL for MongoDB. If you deploy the same project, your inputs will be saved, your data will be saved in my MongoDB account. So provide your MongoDB connection URL and then start deploy the project task service. For deployment, you can start from fourth project, that means task service, then third project, core service, and then second project, gateway, and then front end. So this is the flow. You need to deploy it on the render so that you can get public URL of task service and public URL of core service while deploying a gateway into the render. So replace these two public URL inside gateway.env file for node and Spring URLs. Then deploy a gateway. After deploying a gateway, you will get a public URL for gateway project. So replace that gateway project's public URL in your front end inside live.js. Then you can try to deploy your front end in the render. So we'll close the session. I hope you all learned how to deploy your backend services and front end services in render. Thank you.